It's time. It's time. It's time. Today is August the 4th, 2026, and it is 2:27 a.m. Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. Review, review, review. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Game of Thrones, and I 100% agree with the late Kevin Samuels, who said that Game of Thrones is the best show on Power. I 100% agree with the late Kevin Samuels. Rest in peace. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Game of Thrones. This was my second attempt of watching it. A couple years ago, I tried watching it, and it wasn't the fact that I wasn't into it. I wasn't used to having multiple storylines and multiple characters all connected to one plot, which was the Iron Throne. Either the characters wanted the Iron Throne or they wanted to be close to the Iron Throne. And I did a poll a couple days ago on who won the Game of Thrones. Okay. And I'm going to give my answer right now, and I'm going to also post after I give my answer on this video, and I'm going to post my answer on that poll. Okay. I believe that the Starks won the Game of Thrones because they were the last house standing. They were the last house standing. Okay. And the Starks became the weakest of the houses. But my personal opinion, they were able to become the last house standing. And I'm not going to give no spoilers on Game of Thrones. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. I really enjoyed it. And it kept me on the edge of my seat. Yes, it was long. It was 8 seasons. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. My favorite episode was the Battle of the Bastards. Ramsay versus Snow. That was my favorite episode. As far as a favorite character, I'm going to have to say Jon Snow because he was humble. He was humble. And no matter how much success he achieved, he was always looked at as that bastard child. But he used that as fuel. He used that as motivation, okay, to be successful. He never complained. He never said, woe is me. He kept moving forward. And that's why Jon Snow is my favorite character. Okay. I had to choose somebody that actually, had longevity in the Game of Thrones. And Jon Snow had longevity in the Game of Thrones. Okay. And I learned a lot from different characters. Jon Snow was humble no matter what. Tyrion Lannister was a brain, okay? Tywin Lannister was ruthless. Cersei Lannister was cunning. Jaime Lannister was a fighter. Varys was sneaky. Littlefinger was manipulative. Daenerys Khaleesi Targaryen, very ambitious, the underdog. Ned Stark was a man of honor no matter what, even if it cost him. Okay. Ramsay was determined. You know, I learned a lot from a lot of characters in the Game of Thrones. Okay. And I can go on and on and on. But my favorite character was Jon Snow because he always was humble. He always was humble. You know, and Game of Thrones, my personal opinion, agreeing with the late Kevin Samuels, like I said, the best show about power. Because all the characters, like I said, either they want the Iron Throne or they want to be close to the Iron Throne. Okay. The Starks won the Game of Thrones, my personal opinion. Now, in my poll, we have, the last time I looked at it, we had two people that said the Targaryens won. And that's understandable because, you know, if when you watch it, you'll see why. You know, when you watch it, when you watch the show, you'll see why those two votes, you know, counted, you know, as those two votes were casted for the Targaryens when you watch it. Because Khaleesi, she rose from nothing, being in her brother's shadow, and just kept building and building and building, you know. But the spoiler alert, but I could see why people voted that. But I believe the Starks were the last house standing. And what does Heihachi say from Tekken? All that matters is who's left standing, nothing else, you know. And Game of Thrones taught me that there is no middle ground. You win or you die. It's just that simple. And Game of Thrones had a lot of beautiful quotes. You know, a lot of beautiful quotes. Chaos is a ladder. Knowledge is power. Power is power. Kill the boy and let the man be born. In battle, discipline kills numbers. The lion does not concern himself with the opinions of the sheep. A true king doesn't have to say he's king. It was just so many quotes in there that I can use for my life. Okay. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And now I'm watching House of the Dragon. I just started the first episode of House of the Dragon. I gotta finish it. And I'm enjoying it. You know, it's keeping that flow of Game of Thrones going. And it's a prequel based off of House Targaryen. And I see why they did it because, my personal opinion, the best scenes were the scenes with Daenerys Khaleesi Targaryen, with her dragons and how she was able to rise, you know, from being in the shadow of her brother, you know, to becoming the queen, the mother of dragons, queen of dragons, same thing. Okay. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Game of Thrones. And everything builded up to that very first episode. From that very first episode, winter is coming. Because winter is coming. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. I highly recommend, I highly recommend, I highly recommend Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Check it out, check it out, check it out. My personal opinion, my personal opinion, my personal opinion. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy